upped our standards. So now, up yours. The Daily Mojo.
Here's Dan. I'm just pushing the button, and there's Dan. I'm not even going to, it's just, there's Dan. Because, again, we don't have any of the fancy stuff that flies around and does stuff. Because Ron is...
We will tomorrow. No, we will tomorrow. We're
right.
Good.
See, Ron is, hang on a second, Dan. Take a look. You can see Ron standing in a parking lot somewhere.
I am.
Just waiting for
Jackson,
breaking news to
Mississippi.
happen.
Right.
Yeah, I'm in Jackson, Mississippi. Or near Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay, no breaking news is going to happen in Jackson, Mississippi.
No, absolutely not. Unless I get arrested for standing on the street corner filming.
Which
yes.
He almost already has. He didn't. He looked apparently odd standing there. So anyway, it's been quite a week, huh?
Just a tad.
Just a tad.
Have you been playing the Joe Biden clip of him comparing his awful kitchen fire?
I saw the. Let's see here. I had part of.
Will Kane tweeted it. So if you go to his, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff, and he just rambles. He
sense of togetherness you have. It's not an ordinary community.
No, yeah, that's it.
Right. I mean, and he goes on forever. We did see him over here. It was Matt Wallace tweeted the video of him nodding off.
Oh my goodness.
And they cut away from him real quickly. But yeah, it's again now.
One of him saying, the one of him trying. Look, I don't want to compare. Like he knew in his mind that this was a bad idea. Like he tried. Like I don't want to compare tragedies here. Like
right.
What, Joe? One is the worst wildfire in the history of the United States. You had a kitchen fire. And to try to say, look, I can sympathize with you guys. I almost lost my 1967 Corvette.
Right.
Like, it was in the kitchen. Like, is your kitchen in your garage? What are you talking about? And this guy, and then also he started it with, it was a sunny Sunday afternoon, and then lightning struck the house. What?
That's not even what happened, is it?
What's that?
That's not what happened, is it? That's not the way the kitchen fire started, is it?
I don't know if I think it might have actually been, someone posted a news story. I think it was a lightning strike, but obviously it couldn't have been a sunny day.
Right, right. Oh, yeah.
If there was a lightning storm around, but then it was contained in like 10 minutes. They're like,
right.
The fire department's like, yeah, we contained that thing to the kitchen. And Joe Biden's out here trying to say, hey, I had a fire once too, guys. Like, your garbage can fire does not count when the ground is literally melted. And then the other clip of him yucking it up with the cadaver sniffing dog.
I didn't see that.
I don't know if you saw that one. And he says the dog has boots on because obviously the ground is a smoldering inferno still. And the dog's wearing these boots and Joe Biden's like, hey, look at that. The dog's got boots on. We got some hot ground here, huh, guys? You know, it just.
Wow. I didn't see that one.
Do you remember, Brad, when Trump got a lot of grief in Puerto Rico for throwing the paper towels? And everyone's like, oh, hey, he doesn't care. He's throwing the paper towels around.
Yeah.
Now, I thought that was a little odd, too. But the people loved it. The people were all laughing and smiling. Like, when Trump would go to these things, whatever you say about Trump, the man has an ability to play to the crowd. They love it when he's there. Even people that maybe aren't like his biggest, MAGA supporters, if he goes to a crowd, he's very good with people. He is. He's really good at just chatting it up and being an ordinary person. He's just good at that. Joe Biden, it's like he doesn't know where he is. And for him to, you look at all of the things leading up to this Maui fire, it just makes you wonder what's going on in his mind about this fire. He's on a beach as thousands of people are losing their homes. He's at home on a beach. They ask him about it, and he says no comment. How could you be that? I'm sorry, but how could you be that dumb?
I know.
To realize I've got a camera in my face now. They're asking me about this big tragedy. You have to say something. You're on a beach. You're the president. Do you not have any concept of the optics that are happening at that moment. You're on a beach lounging around, which it must be nice to be the president and have time, by the way. I know you guys always joke about my vacations that don't actually happen. I'm actually off doing things.
Right.
But I'm not. I would love to have the amount of free time this guy has. It's unbelievable. But imagine just the lack of awareness to have a camera in your face. You're the president. People are suffering in the worst natural disaster and fire-wise in history. You're on the beach. You got to realize, this doesn't look good. I better say something good here about, look, we're working as best we can. I got my people on it. We've been meeting about this. I'm going down there. It's horrible. We're praying for them. Something. No comment.
No,
this guy
he's an
is
idiot.
Just. I can't imagine he's running. If I really can't.
I
know everyone says he is.
I don't think
now,
he's going to. I don't think, and I think that's what probably the conversations behind the scenes is. Oh, good grief! I can't believe he did that. We only have to put up with this for another 9 months.
Yeah.
7, whatever the figure is that they've decided is going to be the date that they bow him out, and Newsom steps in, because Newsom has been saying all the right things when it comes to disaster response in California. I don't know if he's been doing them, but he's saying all the right things.
Look, Newsom's a disaster in his own right, but he's at least able to talk. Right. And he can at least play the part. And so we know all the shenanigans that he's involved in with the lockdowns and everything else. But as far as politicking goes, he knows how to do it.
Yes, he does.
Joe Biden, you'd think, for being in politics for 800 years, you'd think he'd know how to do it a little better. But this is why he never won. If you remember, he always would run, and he'd always be one of those 1% guys that got nothing. And
how dare you?
I maintain the only reason he won this time was because
81 million people. How dare you question 81 million voters?
Runs. This time, it was a strategic move by the Democrats. I'm telling you, they put him in there because he was Uncle Joe and lovable Joe.
It's called cheating.
The only way that they were going to lose this election was if they put like a Bernie Sanders type up there where you had someone who could take the attention off of Trump. They made it all about Trump, and it worked. And I think that'll work again the second time. I know not everybody agrees with me on that, but I think Trump running gives the media, gives everybody, will swirl around and feast on January 6th. Trump this, he lied about the election, blah, blah, blah. That's all it'll be about, and we won't be talking about how bad Joe Biden has been.
Are you one of them never Trumpers? You hate him too?
No, I'm not a big Trump fan. I like a lot of the things he did, but I really do think my biggest problem is that, and my fear of Trump in the first place was not that he wouldn't do some good things. He did do some good things, but it's turning into a cult of personality. And we're moving away from being a principled party that values principles the most. And I see people willing to just go along with whatever if Trump says it. And that I have a problem with that. I have a big problem with that. And I think that's you're just going to be authoritarian light if you go down that road and you just go cult of personality. So I see a really good choice with other choices out there like DeSantis. So I don't know why it has to be Trump this time. It can be if he wins, great for him. But there are other options that are very serviceable, and I just don't buy a lot of the, well, anyway, we can talk about the other candidates, but
I was going to say, I will always remember the face of Stu when he came in after the election in 2016, and I had told him, I said, not only do I think Trump will be the nominee, I think he'll win. I don't even know how I knew that. I just felt it, and the look on Stu's face, and I went up and gave him a big hug. It's going to be okay.
Well, but again, though, you're seeing that shift away from the look, I don't even want to get into it because I don't want to get into the Twitter debate, the back and forth on it. I really don't.
I can get you a bigger shovel.
But when you have someone saying like, I'm sticking to the Constitution, and then everyone's saying you traitor, Mike Pence, I'll just say it. Mike Pence was not allowed to overturn the election. He is not a traitor. He actually was not allowed to do that. And when you have people siding with Trump on that, I have a problem with that. You
want me to play the Biden clip with the dog?
Let's go back to Biden with the dog. I don't want to debate Trump. I really don't.
Here's I think this is the clip anyway, because this is the one that is being referenced by the Daily Beast as being classless and whatever. Here it is.
What's the boss's name? I said, how you doing, pal?
Look over there.
Point out the boots.
I don't know if he points out the boots in this one or not. He looks like he looks lost. He looks like
he was just about to say it too. He's got some hot ground, man.
Is he? Yeah, there he was. Yeah. He's just not there anymore.
He's not there.
He's
not
out
there.
to lunch.
He is. And like, I'm comparing, I'm not just saying like, oh, just criticizing Joe Biden. Like, I can compare this Joe Biden to the Joe Biden of even just back when he was vice president under Obama.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't like this. He could at least speak sentences. He was gaffe machine always, but he could at least be affable and speak. He can't do that right now. It's really bad.
This is going back to the election of 2016. I don't know why I'm having to wait for this stupid ad. But we played part of this yesterday with Biden did the video for Vice. Hang on a second. Vice, Biden, Google Vice. Yeah, there we go. This is him.
This is the Wired auto.
Shouldn't that be Hunter that's doing the Vice video?
Oh, yeah, exactly. But this is the video that Trump did, or excuse me, that Biden did for Wired magazine. Sorry, not Vice.
Oh, Wired. Okay.
And
Joe Biden, a Democrat or Republican?
he's like on it right here.
Man, what else would you be but a Democrat? I'd have to change my name if I weren't a Democrat. My grandfather Finney would come back.
I mean, it's heavily edited, but still, he was at least
When was that?
communicating. This was 3 years ago, so just before it was 2020. So probably 2019. 2019,
Yeah.
2020.
So you're saying there's even been a greater recession for him.
Yeah.
The health of Joe Biden within
or
the
he
last-
was pumped full of drugs.
Yeah, because I think it was noticeable from when he left the scene, in 16 after they lost, and then
Right.
4 years of Trump. Whatever happened in that 4-year gap, he came back, and it was not the same. It was not the same. I bet you if you found some older clips of Joe, even just under the vice president era for him, I bet you'd be shocked. I haven't looked at any, but I'm pretty sure it would be shocking.
Well, and even the video of the Ukraine video where he talks about being on the ground, and had the $1 million bill, whatever it was, and but only if they fired the prosecutor. And he's like, "Well, son of a bitch!" That video, he's like on it and lucid and everything else. So yeah, but again, he's 80 something, or it's going to be 81, I guess. Well, but the other thing, I think he's evil. I really think, and the mask is slipping now. Because you see him biting people's heads off, reporters, things like that. Not literally, but he's slipping, and that mask is falling. I may or may not have been married to somebody whose mask would fall occasionally, especially after they've been drinking, and that's what you saw, the evil lizard person up underneath, and that's what I think we're seeing with Biden.
Yeah, I think he's really, try to pin it on him, and I think he's just anybody willing to stay in government that long, and then you've been vice president, and then to want to come back and want more at age, 77, 78, potentially live your 70 when he could easily just retire and be with his family, which is his family has gone through enough tragedy. You'd think he'd have extra motivation to be with his family.
Right.
So to me, that speaks volumes about where his priorities are in his life. And it sure seems to be about power, wealth, fame, and they'll do anything to get it. And that seems to be the MO for this president. And it's sad. It's sad. And I was going to say to your point about the slippage, even remember the stand-up Chuck gaffe? There was always the gaffe reels of Joe Biden, where he's, hey, man, Chuck. You can't go to a 7-Eleven without an Indian being in there.
Right.
He had all these gaffes. Well, the one stand-up Chuck, it was to a congressman who was in a wheelchair. Hey, stand up, Chuck. And he didn't realize. Now, it was a local guy. Like, you get it, right? Those things happen. You don't know everybody that well.
Right.
But he actually is a bad gaffe. But he actually turned on a dime. And he said, he said something like, stand up, Chuck. And he said, oh. And he realized it. And then he goes, God love you. He goes, well, you're making everybody else stand up, Chuck. Which was actually a good recovery line.
Yeah.
For how bad of a gaffe that was, right? Yep. He should have known, but I put that more on his staff. It was more funny than anything else. But anyway, point is, he was sharp enough to turn that around into a coherent save.
Mm-hmm.
And no way he'd be able to do that now. He wouldn't even be able to pull words out of the air.
Well, remember the congresswoman who had died, and he asked, remember he was giving the speech in there, and he said, where is...
Yeah.
I mean, and he never even went, oh, yeah. I mean, he just, where is she? Oh, I guess she's not coming today. That's because she's dead.
Right. It fades now. It just sort of.
Right.
It like withers away, and then there's no recovery, and just no.
And they see it.
And I'm not kidding.
Right.
Not kidding.
They have to see it. The handlers, the power behind the power, sees this and realizes we got to deal with this for another 8-9 months, whatever the number is that they've come up with, that he's going to be stepped aside. And probably Newsom stepped in.
It's really interesting because Kamala's got, I mean, now they know. Now, Kamala would be actually equally a disaster. I feel like she would lose. She's just not likable as far as the greater public goes. She doesn't have great likability among even Democrats. So she's younger, and she is just as incoherent for different reasons as Joe Biden is. But so it's really an awkward situation for Democrats because how do you galvanize around this? It's actually really tricky. Like in my mind, I think there's no way Biden can run, but I also think it's a really difficult path to just change course and go. I mean, how do they do that with the messaging and make that all work? And then, if it opens up, a whole bunch of Democrats will probably come in. I maintain that if the Democrats really want to shore up an election, Michelle Obama needs to run. I think there's absolutely no chance Michelle Obama would lose because we know how much the media funds. I mean, they talked about her fashion choices. Then we had a literal fashion model in the White House, and they never talked about her fashion. So,
and she might.
So I think Michelle Obama would be a slam dunk, but
it's that is the Center Square Voters Voice poll conducted in conjunction with Noble Predictive Insights found that Biden would coast to victory over declared candidates Attorney Kennedy and writer Marianne Williamson. This is way back. When is this dated?
Wait, Biden? What are you talking about? Biden's behind.
This is August 19, 2023. This is at the Center Square. A poll suggests primary win for Biden unless Michelle Obama steps in.
Primary win. Okay, I thought you were saying general. Yeah.
Right. No, and I thought, wait a second. Talking about Marianne Williamson. Is she going to run again? Didn't she run last time, Marianne Williamson, or she was going to run? Who is Marianne? I know that name.
But she's not a real threat anyway. I mean, Michelle Obama with Barack being the first woman president this time around, potentially, and having Barack Obama be the first man or whatever they call it.
Remember when we were kids and life was simple?
I know.
And now this.
I know.
No, Marianne Williamson is running again. There it is. There's Marianne Williamson 2024 right there. The official website's up. Huh. Who knew? I guess she's kind of like, what's his name? Who used to run all the time? What's the guy's name that knew Pat something? Remember that guy way back in the 70s? Pat. Not It's Pat and not Pat Gray. Pat, he was a presidential candidate, and he used to run all the time. Not Pat Robertson. Who was the guy? Somebody will think of it.
Pat, just good old Pat.
It's Pat. He's
Pat. What's
again.
that? It's Pat. Hey, that's who should run. We should get Rachel Levine to run. I would love. Look, Rachel Levine would be a disaster, but it would just be really fun for a minute anyway. to have the first woman president be a dude. It would
First
just be
admiral,
so great.
and the first admiral to run for president, I believe. Which, just again, we were talking about Rachel Dolezal a little bit earlier, and it was what, 2014, 2015 when she popped on the scene, right? And it was like,
yeah,
this woman
she's
thinks
got to be like, oh, come on.
right.
You guys canceled me. Now you can be whatever you just got to say whatever you want. And you yell at everyone when they disagree.
Right.
And then they get in trouble.
She was before her time. She was just
Before
ahead
her
of her
time.
time.
She could have started Black Lives Matter and it would have worked out for her if she would have started it in 2020.
If she just had a coach that could have told her, what to do and when to do it. All right, coming up on the Quickstart podcast. The world is so weird. It's beyond
so
weird. What?
We actually talked to the commie story that I mentioned last time. We covered it last time. We actually talked to the shop owner. He's got these communists and LGBT activists smashing his windows. Like every week they go there, and it's just like this ongoing thing that's insane. So we talked to him. That's a good conversation there. And also a very interesting development in Pakistan where there was a massive mob that they went on a rumor that these Christians had committed blasphemy against Muhammad. And so they just destroyed all of these churches. But the government of Pakistan is actually paying these Christians. A really interesting story because, Pakistan's not exactly Christian friendly. So
right, no.
We got that and a whole bunch more on the pod today.
The First Amendment.
Did you know that you have rights? The Constitution says you do.
Lives here. Watch and listen at thedailymojo.com.